will try to, I mean, see if I can what I can cut out.
Or you know what? Hey, just let the people see it raw. We're entrepreneurs, man. This is what we do.
That's what we do. All right, so let's jump into it. I mean, give us like the quick, elevator pitch of Derrick Jones. How did you get to where you're at? I mean, just give us a quick skinny on it. That's a,
Well,
that's a big ask.
um, it's funny. I remember being in college in California, right? And and I was having this conversation with this professor, and we were disagreeing on something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And he says, "Well, you have to do really good in this subject, so you can get out of college and get a good job, making $35,000 a year." And I said to him, I stopped him and I said, "Is that it? Is that what I have to look forward to? After all of this work?" And then I always had it in the back of my mind, I'm going to be involved in business somehow, right? I just hadn't, determined how that would be. And then when I was in the Marine Corps, I got involved. It's funny, I actually got involved with this multi-level marketing thing.
As we all have, man. As entrepreneurs, we've tried them all.
That's like your first taste, right? And I tell you something, I learned a lot about marketing, sales, that 30-second pitch. I mean, I learned a lot with that experience. And I learned how to, how to present it and all of that. So I actually learned a lot there. Of course, I got involved in the computer industry. You said 30 seconds. This isn't 30 seconds. I got involved in the computer industry in my early 20s. And then I says, hey, and it was just a natural thing. I could probably make a little bit of money if I fix people's computers in their houses, So I created this little company called PC Doc Tours, right? Tours, get it? Tours. And I would, go to people's homes, fix their computers. This is probably the mid-90s. The business was a colossal. I learned that I did not want to be in the PC hardware business. And then, I got involved more of the heavy duty stuff, the system engineering, that. And then I got this call from someone here in New York. It says, hey, we have a big project, high profile. Are you interested? A headhunter. I said, okay, I want this much. I gave what I could consider at the time a ridiculously high number just to get her off the phone. She said, deal. And then I learned one of my first lessons, right? The person who says a number first loses. In negotiation, make the other person say a number first, because they may have a number in mind far higher than your own.
No doubt.
She agreed so quickly, I realized, okay, I spoke too quickly. But anyway, she met my number. Man, 6 weeks later, I'm in New York with my family working on this project. I went from the West Coast, San Diego, to upstate New York, Albany, in a span of 6 weeks. Dude, success requires speed, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, we don't always pick the circumstances or the opportunities. Sometimes the opportunities pick us, and you just gotta go for it. So 6 weeks later, here I am in New York.
So what made you want to write a book? I mean, you released this new book. What gave you the bug? Let's talk about it. I mean, presidents, pilots, and entrepreneurs. Right?
Yeah.
Why is your book, so much better than all the other ones?
Well, it's not even about, when I wrote the book, I did not start out with the intention of creating a better book than anyone else, right? Because I believe if you create something that's truly unique, we don't have to worry so much about competition. So it's not even about competing for me.
So what's the angle? What's the angle you took with the book?
Well, a few years ago, I was passing my television, and there was someone on there talking about the personalities of presidents and pilots, and they talk about how they're extremely confident, high risk. Usually they're natural leaders and so on and so. And it caught my attention. I said, "Wow, it sounds like these guys are describing entrepreneurs." And I said, "This discussion should really be called Presidents, Pilots, and Entrepreneurs." And I said to myself, I should write that book one day. This is a few years ago. And it's always been kind of floating around inside of my head. And then around, I think it was 2008, I was in my office and I was going through some real turmoil with a project that was going on, and it was just a mess. And so I'm trying to do 50 things at one time, trying to get this huge project off the ground. And it was like the typical entrepreneurial day, right? And I thought to myself, I should document this entire experience right now because I know that someone can benefit from this. And then I said again, I've got to write this book one day. So then I sat down and I said, I look at the economy now, and there's a lot of people who are becoming entrepreneurs who hadn't really planned on it, okay? They're doing it out of necessity. And there's such a high failure rate of entrepreneurship, and I think it's because people start out of the gate not really understanding the landscape, right? So there's a lot of really good books out there on entrepreneurship, on what I call the mechanics of entrepreneurship or the mechanics of starting a business, right? But why is it that there are people who, even when they follow the mechanics, they still fail?
Well, you know what? That's a great lead-in to one of the things that I like that you cover in the book, is talking about how to find the right mentor. Because I know, for me, the success that I've had with some of my businesses, a lot of it had to do with me picking the right mentors to help me, guide me along. I mean, I'm not any smarter than anybody else. I mean, I'm a hard worker, but associating myself with the right mentors is what made a difference. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, what's your angle on that? What angle are you taking with the book to talk about that?
Well, in chapter 4, I talk a lot of one of my own mentors. All right, and I talk in one of the chapters titled "Show Me Your Friends," right? Because there's a saying that says, "Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are." Mm-hmm. In terms of finding a mentor has to be someone who is, at a minimum,